Welcome to i-TUTOR Economics NCERT series. Today we are going to deal with Chapter 8, International Economic Organizations. In the last chapter, we learned about international trade, why countries trade, how they gain from it, and how trade affects their terms of trade, BOP, and exchange rates. But here is something important to note. When trade happens between developed countries and less developed countries, the developed countries often benefits more. Meanwhile, the LDCs, that means the less developed countries, usually face adverse terms of trade. That means their export earn less compared to what they pay for import. Then they also face BOP problems. That means they spend more foreign exchange than they earn. All these issues also disturb their exchange rates. What went wrong before international organizations were formed? During Great Depression of 1930s and later during World War II, countries became highly nationalistic. That means they started thinking only about their own economic survival. So they did things like imposing trade restrictions to protect domestic industries, then introducing exchange controls to save foreign exchange, and using exchange depreciation, reducing their currency value to make export cheaper. Each country was trying to boost its own export and restrict imports. But as a result, global trade almost collapsed because everyone was restricting each other. How did the world fix this problem? To rebuild international trade and cooperation after World War II, countries met at a famous meeting called Bretton Woods Conference in 1944 held in US. From this conference, three big international institutions were planned. What are they? IMF, World Bank and International Trade Organization. IMF to maintain exchange rate stability and help countries with BOP problems. World Bank, it was earlier called IBRD, that is International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. It was constructed to help rebuild war damaged countries and support development projects. An international trade organization to promote free and fair trade. However, the ITO, that means International Trade Organization, never actually started. Instead, a temporary arrangement called GATT, that is General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, was created. Later in 1955, GATT was replaced by WTO, that is World Trade Organization, which we have today. Now, let's look at the headquarters of this organization. IMF, Washington DC, and it was established on 1945. World Bank, it's also Washington DC, and it was established on the same year 1945. World Trade Organization, that is in Geneva, that is Switzerland, and it was established in 1995. Now let's look at it in a detailed way. International Monetary Fund or IMF. So what is the purpose of IMF? The IMF was created to help countries work together economically and financially. Okay, and its main goals are to promote international monetary cooperation and to help countries maintain stable economies, especially when they face problems with their BOP. So think of IMF as a global financial doctor. If a country is facing short-term money problems, IMF provides support to stabilize it. And what is the second function? Okay, but before that, the IMF was established in 1945, okay, after the Bretton Woods Conference. Currently, it has 189 members and the Republic of Nauru joined most recently in 2016. And what is the key role of IMF? The IMF assists countries temporarily when they cannot meet their international payments. It gives loans or advice so that countries can correct BOP imbalances without causing too much economic disruption. So imagine India needs dollars to pay for imports but doesn't have enough. IMF can lend money, help stabilize exchange rates, and guide India to manage its economy until it can earn enough from exports. Okay. Now let's look at the objectives of IMF. First, to promote international monetary cooperation among the member nations. That means IMF helps countries work together on money matters like exchange rates and financial policies. For example, countries consult IMF before devaluing their currency to avoid global instability. Second, to facilitate balanced growth and international trade. That means IMF encourages trade that benefits all nations fairly, and it helps avoid situations where trade restrictions hurt poorer countries. Then, ensure exchange rate stability. It prevents currency wars where countries try to undercut each other by devaluing their currency. Stable exchange rates make global trade smoother. For example, India and Brazil avoid extreme fluctuations in currency values with IMF guidance. Then fourth objective is to reduce exchange control. Okay, IMF encourages countries to ease restrictions on foreign currency transactions, making trade and investment easier. Fifth one, to establish multilateral trade and payment system. That means instead of many one-on-one trade deals, that is bilateral deals, IMF promotes a system where payments and trade are handled multilaterally among all member countries. Then, to promote flow of capital to developing nations. That means IMF helps channel money from rich countries to developing ones. So these nations can invest in growth and development. And the final objective is to solve the problem of international liquidity. That is, IMF provides funds, that is foreign currency or SDRs, to countries facing short-term shortages of foreign exchange, helping them manage BOP crisis. So IMF acts like a global emergency fund for countries in financial stress. Now let's look at the functions of IMF. The IMF is like a global financial guardian, helping countries manage money, trade, and currency stability. And its main functions are bringing stability in exchange rate. That is, IMF helps keep currency values stable so countries don't engage in competitive devaluation. Okay, it restricts members from having multiple exchange rates and ensure gold is bought or sold at official par values. For example, prevent sudden drop or spikes in the currency values that could hurt trade. Then second function is correcting BOP disequilibrium. How? IMF assists countries facing short-term BOP problems. It provides foreign currency or loans so countries can pay for imports and stabilize their economy. For example, if a country is importing more than exporting and running out of dollars, IMF can lend funds to cover the gap. And the third one, determining par values of currencies. Each member declares a par value for its currency in terms of gold or US dollars. IMF ensures that these values are maintained and the international monetary system works smoothly. For example, India declares the value of a rupee in relation to US dollar and IMF monitor it. And the fourth function is balancing demand and supply of currencies. IMF ensures no currency shortage globally. If a currency is in high demand or it is scarce, IMF can supply it by borrowing from a country or exchanging gold. Then, reducing trade restrictions. IMF encourages countries to remove tariffs, quotas, and restrictions that block trade. It aims to allow free movement of funds and fair trade practices. For example, reduces unfair barriers that prevent foreign investment or money transfers. And the sixth function is providing credit facilities. IMF gives different types of loans to member countries in need. What are those different types? Yes, basic credit facility, that is for short-term support. Then extended fund facility. Okay, that is medium-term support, usually 3 years. Then compensatory financing facility or CFF for sudden export shortfall. Then structural adjustment facility SAF for long-term economic reforms. So it helps countries stabilize their economy, adjust policies and recover from crisis. And the functions of IMF can be grouped under 3 heads. What are they? Financial assistance, regulatory and consultative. Financial assistance means IMF provides money or credit to member countries to help correct deficit in BOP. It covers short-term and medium-term BOP problems. For example, a country importing more than its export can get IMF loans to pay for imports until it stabilizes its trade. Then, what about regulatory assistance? It is a code of conduct. IMF sets rules and guidelines for international monetary relations. It ensures stability in exchange rates, then reduces competitive devaluation and prevents multiple exchange rates. It monitors par values of currency to maintain a smooth global monetary system. For example, countries cannot manipulate currency excessively. IMF ensures fair play in international finance. And what about consultative assistance? It is like counseling and technical consultancy. IMF advises countries on economic policies, financial reforms, and trade practices. It offers technical assistance to improve governance, budgeting, monetary policy, and statistical systems. For example, helps a developing country design reforms to reduce inflation, increase exports, or strengthen banking systems. So, what is the summary here? It gives financial assistance like loans and credits for BOP, regulatory assistance like setting rules for stable global monetary system, and consultative assistance, that means advice, counseling, and technical help for economic improvement. Okay. Now, what are the facilities offered by IMF? The IMF offers different credit and borrowing facilities to help countries with BOP problems and to support their economic stability. What are they? First one, basic credit facility. The main purpose of basic credit facility is to help countries with temporary BOP difficulties. And what is the process here? A member can buy foreign currency or SDRs from the IMF by paying in its own currency. And the limit is it can borrow up to 25% of its quota without conditions. That is called reserve tranche. Okay, that is called reserve tranche. Okay, for example, a country with short-term import payment issues borrows under this facility. That is about basic credit facility. Now, what is called extended fund facility or EFF? The main purpose is to support countries with longer-term BOP problems that require economic reforms, and the duration is up to 3 years, and the limit is up to 140% of the members' quota. And we should note here that it comes with policy reform conditions like fiscal tightening or structural reforms. Next one, compensatory financing facility. And the main purpose is to assist primary producing countries like those depending on exports of coffee, rubber, etc. facing shortfall in export earning. And it was added in 1981. It also helps countries affected by rising cereal import cost. For example, if a country's export income drops due to drought or global price fall, it gets help under CFF. And the next one, buffer stock facility. It was started in 1969 and the purpose is to help stabilize prices of primary products like grains or raw materials. For example, it helps a food exporting country contribute to international buffer stock schemes that keeps price stable. Then, supplementary financing facility or SFF. The main purpose is to provide extra financial help when existing IMF quotas are not enough, and the nature is temporary arrangement to support countries facing large payment problems. And the last one, structural adjustment facility or SAF. It was started in 1986 and the purpose is to help poorer countries with BOP difficulties on concessional or low interest terms. And the goal is to make them adopt macroeconomic and structural reforms like reducing fiscal deficit, trade liberalization, etc. Okay, and we also have one more thing, that is ESAF, that is Enhanced Structural Facility. It was started in 1987 and the purpose is to increase concessional support to low income countries and strengthen reform efforts. And the focus is to encourage long-term structural improvement and economic growth. And I'll tell you a mnemonics to remember this. What is that? Big elephants can balance small shaky economies. And the B for basic credit facility, then big elephants E, extended fund facility, then can C, compensatory financing facility, then balance buffer stock facility, small s, supplementary financing facility, shaky, that is S, structural adjustment facility, and also E, economies, that is enhanced structural adjustment facilities. Okay, now do you know about special drawing rights or SDRs? SDRs are international reserve assets created by IMF in 1969, and it is nicknamed as paper gold because they act like gold in terms of international liquidity but exist only in paper. And the purpose is to solve the problems of international liquidity when countries face shortage of foreign exchange, and it is used by IMF members to meet BOP deficit or strengthen their reserve position. And what are the key features of SDRs? First one, allocation. Okay, allocation. That is, SDRs are distributed to IMF members proportionally to their IMF quotas. Second, unit of account. All IMF transactions like loans, repayments, reserves, capitals, etc. are expressed in SDRs. Third one, means of payment. Members can use SDRs to pay each other or the IMF to settle BOP deficit. Now, why it is important? It acts as supplementary international reserve, especially for countries with foreign exchange shortages. Then it supports global financial stability. It also can be exchanged for freely usable currencies like USD, Euro, Yen, GBP, etc. among member countries. Okay, so think of SDR as a paper version of gold that countries can use instead of holding actual gold or foreign currency reserves. Okay, so imagine a country runs out of dollars but has SDRs. It can exchange these SDRs with another country for dollars to pay for imports, almost like having a gold-backed check. Okay. What are the achievements of IMF? The International Monetary Fund has made significant contributions to the global economy since its establishment, and its key achievements are establishment of Monetary Reserve Fund, then monetary discipline and cooperation, and also special interest in the problems of UDCs. Establishment of a Monetary Reserve Fund. IMF has created a stock of national currencies from member countries. This fund acts as a reserve, helping countries meet their foreign exchange requirements. Essentially, it works like a global emergency fund for countries facing currency shortages. And promoting monetary discipline and cooperation. IMF encourages financial discipline among its members. Okay, it provides assistance only to countries that actively try to correct their economic problems. This ensures that countries do not misuse IMF resources and maintain stable monetary policies. And the third one, special focus on developing countries, that is UDCs. IMF pays special attention to their problems of underdeveloped countries or UDCs. It provides financial assistance to help them correct BOP issues. Despite this, many UDCs continue to face economic challenges while developed countries achieve substantial growth. Okay, so IMF is like a global bank that lends helping hand to countries in need, but only if they follow the rules and try to fix their problems themselves. Okay, India and IMF. India has had a long-standing relationship with IMF. Okay, let's break it down. First, India's position in IMF. Till 1970s, India was the fifth largest member, giving it the power to appoint a permanent executive director. Now, India is the 13th largest quota holder with a share of 2.44% in the IMF. And current quota or SDR is SDR 5,821.5 million. And what about India as a beneficiary? India has been one of the major beneficiaries of IMF assistance. It has received loans and aids from various IMF facilities to overcome BOP deficits. India has been regularly repaying its debt, showing responsible membership. And what about additional benefits of IMF membership? Access to technical and financial advice, then participation in global economic discussions, supports in stabilizing exchange rate during crisis, and so on. So being a member of IMF is like having a financial safety net. India can borrow when in trouble, learn global best practices, and participate in international economic decisions. Okay. So that's all about IMF or International Monetary Fund. Now, do you know about SDR or Special Drawing Rights? SDR is a type of international reserve asset created by the IMF. It is sometimes called paper gold because it functions as a potential claim on currencies of IMF member countries. And we told about the purpose. It was created in 1969 to supplement the official reserves of member countries. It acts as a world reserve currency to provide global liquidity, and it also helps countries face balance of payment problems without depleting their own currency reserves. And what is the value of SDR? Yes, 1 SDR is equal to 0.888671 grams of fine gold. At that time, this was equivalent to $1. Today, SDR value is based on baskets of major currencies like US dollar, euro, Chinese yuan, Japanese yuan, British pound, etc. And what are the key functions of SDR? Yes, unit of account. That means all IMF transactions, loans and accounts are expressed in SDRs. Next one, means of payment. That is, member countries can use SDRs to settle BOP deficit with other members of IMF. And the final one, supplementing reserves. That means it helps countries maintain adequate international liquidity. So if gold was money in the past, SDR is like a modern global IOU backed by the world's major currencies, helping countries manage international trade and payment smoothly. Okay. So that's all about SDR. Hope you understand. Thanks for watching. That's all for today. For more related contents, do like, share and subscribe.